Sometimes you have an instinct, eh? You see something in a fighter. You don't even know if it's real. You're looking for it so bad.
Alright, Bro Fight MMA coming back at you. Gonna recap last card that I tried to predict here. I was sweating it off rip, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, we're only gonna talk about our losses. We had 3 losses, 7 wins. Started off 1-3. I was sweating it bad. I did take Jordan Burnett, high confidence. Thought I had a game changer, honestly. Didn't see some things I like in Stu Martin. And Stu Martin came out like an absolute madman and hurt Jordan Burnett bad early. Bad. And that's the way it goes sometimes. Can't predict everything right. Gonna try. But that was a bad one, and they made that one a pick 'em. I was way off on the lines. Okay, and then a lot of fights fell out this card as well. So I only got to record really 10 fights. Another one, Liam Dooley took him high confidence, thought he could get it done. Not really mad at this pick, honestly. Like, he just got cut early and the fight got stopped due to a bad cut. Mikey Henderson, give him all the props in the world, did his job and hurt Liam Dooley and made a nasty cut on him where the doctor had to stop it early in the fight. Last and final one I got wrong, John Telfer took him average confidence, said this is the one fight I could go low confidence either side. Lewis Keane, much quicker on the feet, better movement overall. Looked like John Telfer, like I said, it did have more power, but more technical fighter, and Lewis Keane, more experience. Still thought Telfer was a good underdog play if he was plus money. But he lost a 5-round unanimous decision. Showed off his durability, but just too slow for Keane. Alright, I just wanted to recap some of my picks from last week, but now we flip the page. We're on to Bare Knuckle 87, Hollywood, Florida. We got Kai Hefty Bag Stewart going to be headlining the card. This kid's an absolute stud. Going to be making his 5th title defense in Bare Knuckle. This kid's only 25 years old. Going to be facing Nicholas Gaffie. He's showed like he's got some power. 3 knockouts in his last 3 wins. Should be a banger. We also have Leonardo Perdomo fighting on this card. The Mike Tyson of Bare Knuckle. And we're going to dive into him later, but you got to really look into this guy if you like Bare Knuckle, if you like betting. This guy's 10-0, 10 knockouts. Mike Tyson of Bare Knuckle, ranked high. He's coming for Orlovsky. He's like, I'm pretty sure he's #1 ranked in the heavyweight division. He's going to be a champ soon. Alright, we're diving right into the first fight. Trying to make adjustments, trying to make this better. We skipped some levels. This isn't the type of production you guys are going to get this week, but you're going to see what it's going to look like in the future. Like this card right here. Trying to make it more appealing, trying to do work, I'm really grinding here, alright guys? So we got this bantamweight bout. Ernesto Suarez versus Victor Flor. This is going to be a Cuban versus Brazilian matchup. You got Ernesto Suarez already with some BKFC experience, 1-0. Going to be taking on Victor Flor, MMA guy. Going to be making his debut. Looking at the tail of the tape, height, reach, fist size, shouldn't be a huge advantage for either fighter in this fight. Looking at Suarez, though, he might have some size in this fight, some width, some girth, you know what I'm saying? And I say that because this is a bantamweight fight. Looking at Victor Flor, most of his fights are at flyweight and MMA. He's an MMA fighter transitioning to bare knuckle. And yeah, he's fought most recent at 125 flyweight and maybe like catchweights at 130. This is going to be a bantamweight, 135. And I just have highlighted that 5 pounds matters in fights. And Ernesto Suarez might have some more size on him, some more mass. Also looking at Ernesto Suarez, this guy looks like a mini Yoel Romero. God, I can't even say it. Mini Yoel Romero. This guy looks absolutely shredded. Looks like he works out every day. Looks like he's based out in Florida, fighting out of Florida. I might have missed that on this card, but 3-2 amateur MMA record. Gonna be taking on Victor Flor, like I said. Trains out of American Top Team, so he's out of Florida as well. Diving into Victor Flor, MMA Vic 954 Instagram. Training out of Coconut Creek, Florida. Feeling pretty confident. Thinking he's gonna knock this guy out in his debut. Ernesto Suarez is wild. He can get wild, it looks like. He might be the more technical striker here. Look at him hitting the pads here. Looks like he might have the speed advantage in this fight. Looking at his MMA record, 2 wins by sub, 2 by knockout, knocked out twice. He's ready for some bare knuckle, trying to make the transition, that's for sure. Hopping over to Ernesto Suarez's IG. This guy looks like a freak, like I said. He's got the chef that follows him around, cooks him like the best meals in the world, it looks like. And it looks like this kid's living the life out in Florida as well. Already coming in this with some experience in bare knuckle. I like it, honestly. He's got this twin brother, his IG popping. He's got a twin brother, kind of nuts. Here's him and his chef working out. This guy looks like he can fight wild, which you kind of sometimes have to do in bare knuckle. I like his build. He's got that Stu Martin build from last week. Who else could I say? That Kieran Sewell, who took so much damage last week. That guy's built of iron. It's unbelievable. I can't believe he took all that damage. I just don't know how you can't pick Ernesto Suarez here. It looks like he's got star potential, I would say. It looks like he's got lights out power, absolutely lights out. Looks like he can eat shots. He's got that frame. For bare knuckle, looks like he's got a fire hydrant head. I'm going to take Ernesto Suarez high confidence here to beat Victor Flor. On to the next fight. I'm thinking Victor Flor is going to be in the plus 250, plus 280, 300 range, I would guess. Debut, older fighter, facing a young, hungry fighter. We'll see when the lines come out. Like I said, I'm taking Ernesto Suarez here. High confidence, could be average, but I have faith in Mini Yoel. Alright, on to the next fight. Nicholas Chino Blume going to be taking on Alex Rhino Davis. Heavyweight fight, some big boys. Both of these fighters coming in 1-2 in BKFC with their record. Looking at the tail of the tape, standing 6'2", Chino Blume, 6'1", Alex Davis. Identical reach, little bit bigger fist coming back on the Rhino side. You got Alex Davis, pro boxing record, 5-7-1, 3-2 amateur. Also 3-0 amateur MMA record. Looking at his adversary, Chino Blume. Likes to work power shots, clinch work. Only question mark really has been his cardio. Has failed on him recently. I do think he has faced a higher level of competition. And Alex Davis is the one that wants to break you and take you into the later rounds. And that, I believe that's his only path to victory in this fight against Chino Blume. Reading off of BKFC.com, it says Alex Davis will move forward with little regard for his safety as he believes in his chin and feels he will have superior power to his opponents. Which I don't really like that in my fighter. I want some sort of defense. You're not stronger than every single fighter, and I believe Nicholas Blume here is going to have the harder shots, more technical shots. Looking at his Instagram account, I think he's going to have way, way quicker hand speed, footwork. Like I said, I think Alex Rhino Davis's only fight, or only path to victory in this fight is to bring it late. I kind of see an early stoppage coming for Chino Blume here. I'm going to be taking Chino Blume here, high confidence. It's kind of hard for me to pick a line in this fight. You got Chino Blume, 7 years older. Doesn't really matter in heavyweight, in my opinion. You can go later on in them bigger weight classes. Looks like he hasn't took a lot of damage in his career. You see him hitting the bags or hitting the pads. Looks like he's in good shape, in my opinion. Not really seeing much pad work from Alex Davis this camp. It is heavyweight. It only takes one punch. I'm not seeing it on the Alex Davis side. I haven't watched much of his BKFC fights. I'm not gonna lie. I just dipped into some of his boxing matches. I believe in his amateur MMA, he was more of like a grappler. And if he comes in close with the clinch with Chino Blume, I think he's going to be in trouble. I'm going to take Chino Blume here, high confidence. We'll see when the lines come out. All right, next fight, we got a flyweight bout. Jancarlos Rivera versus Mike Hansen. Rivera going to have 8-year age gap in this fight, being the younger fighter. Both these fighters undefeated in BKFC 2-0. Looking at the tail of the tape, Jancarlos Rivera has some T-Rex arms. Mike Hansen, pretty lengthy, I guess, 5'4", almost 70-inch reach. I don't know how accurate it is, going off of bare knuckle, Tapology, wherever I can honestly find their reach. Yeah, it's not listed on Tapology. And fist size, 26 centimeters for Rivera, not listed for Mike Hansen. Rivera, you got fighting out of Florida. Pure bare knuckle fighter. He doesn't have any amateur boxing, MMA, nothing like that. Looking into Mike Hansen, little red flags on his pro MMA record for me. He's 2-5 in pro MMA. 4 losses coming by knockout, 0 wins by knockout. And he's facing Jancarlos Rivera, whose nickname is Baby Hulk. Looks like he carries some power at the slowest weight class in BKFC flyweight. Looking at their BKFC.com bio, says Jancarlos Rivera will gain momentum as the fight gets into the later rounds with his excellent cardio and fight IQ. Making reads is a big part of his game, and he sets up combinations after seeing what his opponent has to offer. Looking at Mike Hansen in his BKFC bio, says in Hansen's wins, he shows what is usually superior cardio and fundamentals. In his losses, he tends to get caught early. A little red flag. I'm struggling to get tape on these fights, on these fighters. Training camp, nothing. I'm not finding anything really. Oh, I still want to go high confidence Jancarlos. I think Mike Hansen's running into a problem right here in this fight. His nickname's Mighty Mouse. I don't really like that. There's only one Mighty Mouse. I think it's a bad matchup for Mike Hansen. Looking at the reach, you would be like, oh my god, yeah. Jancarlos is at a disadvantage this fight, but I trust in his cardio and fight IQ, like they're saying. Anything can happen. This is bare knuckle, one cut, one punch, one broken hand. It's just what I'm feeling. I'm taking Jancarlos Rivera, high confidence. Let's go on to the next fight. We got a bantamweight bout, 135. You got AJ Rodriguez versus Roberto Armas. AJ Rodriguez coming into this fight 11 years younger, 100% KO rate, 3-0 in BKFC. Going to be taking on the veteran Roberto Armas, 4-5 BKFC record, 50% KO rate. Looking at the tail of the tape, AJ Rodriguez, 6-inch taller fighter, only going to possess about 2-inch reach advantage. Diving into bare knuckle fights, MMA fights, I usually highlight MMA fights at least 4-inch reach. Bare knuckle, I dip it down a little bit to 3 inches. Then I think you have a nice reach advantage. He's sitting about 2, gonna have a nice height advantage though. I think should benefit him in this fight. Fighting out of Florida as well, AJ Rodriguez just looks like he's a fighter, man. Born a fighter, been boxing his whole life, boxing in the streets of Florida. Reading at his BKFC bio, it says Rodriguez is aggression personified, but excels when he is able to set up counter punches. He's very fast, even at the bantamweight level, and that speed creates a higher punching power that we are used to seeing at 135. Rodriguez will bounce between single power shots and nasty combinations in the pocket. He also can take clean shots and can remain moving forward to this point. Might have butchered that, but oh well. Roberto Armas has been improving fight over fight and beats lower level of competition while struggling at times against the bantamweight and featherweight division's best talent. I'm not going to lie, I think Rodriguez is up there. Armas fights from the outside and jumps into the pocket, swinging with power. You won't see a lot of straight punches because El Gallo Negro looks for the knockout with every swing. I don't really like that. This tends to make his fights go short, but as mentioned, we know he can perform throughout 10 minutes and push throughout even when he's gassing. Looking at Roberto Armas here, like I said, looks like he's always in shape, doing the right things. But I think this is another tough matchup for him here. Looks like Roberto Armas can fade in his fights. It mentioned that he can still swing with power when it looks like he's gassing, but it does look like he loses power on his shots over time throughout the fight. I think AJ Rodriguez is going to keep that power through the fight. Very good footwork I'm seeing out of AJ Rodriguez. We only have old pad work of him. Looking at him boxing in the street when he's a youngster. Just fighting random people. This guy's been boxing at a young age. I think he's going to possess the better footwork. I think he's going to be the better overall fighter come Saturday. Let me just try and find this pad work. Pretty old. That is not what I was looking for. Alright, there we go. That's just him warming up, hitting the pad, showing the speed. I really like this guy's movement, man. I think this is a tough fight for Roberto Armas. I think AJ Rodriguez is going to be a big favorite here. I'm taking him high confidence. Maybe minus 400s. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the -6. This guy looks like a beast. We got a BKFC numbered card. They're stacking it with talent. On to the next fight. Alright, next fight we got here is a flyweight bout. 26-year-old Chris Garcia going to be taking on 34-year-old Chancey Wilson. And this is the production level you guys are going to get this week, but I went to go save some of these, and when I saved some of these and already did all the research and I guess advanced teletapes I like to call, it came all, I tried to open it and then it was all blurry. You can't even read it. So I had to do it all over again besides like a couple. And this is the one that came out pretty good and I just kept it. So yeah, you're going to see the better production and advanced teletapes in the future, but this is what I was going to do for a minute, but then I found out my new method. So yeah, on this older version of the teletape, you have Chris Garcia, Chancey Wilson. Chris Garcia, 5-1 BKFC record, 80% KO rate. Chancey Wilson, more of a veteran of the sport, 3-5 BKFC record, 33% KO rate. Why do I say that? Chris Garcia's 5-1 in BKFC, 2 less fights than Chancey. Chris Garcia just got into this in 2023. Chancey Wilson, 2020. Looking at the tail of the tape, though, Chris Garcia, 5'8" against Chancey Wilson, 5'2". Chris Garcia pretty big for the flyweight division, going to possess 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. Orthodox versus Southpaw. Chris Garcia fighting out of Florida, I like that. Diving into their bios on BKFC.com, Chris Garcia is a Cuban-American boxer who made his professional debut back at BKFC 38. Whoever he stands across from Garcia must be aware of his massive power that he holds in both hands. With a deep passion for boxing he acquired as a kid, Garcia has been a student of the game and utilizes traditional fundamentals. Garcia sets a brutal pace early, showing that he's more than capable of throwing more than his opponents. Looking at his adversary, Wilson carries a lot of aggression in his fight style and moves forward, outlanding most of his opponents, fighting from a southpaw stance. Also uses elusive head movement and great counters when he sees his openings. He trains it. All we got here is Chancey Wilson's Facebook that we can go off of. Not getting access to his IG. Looping shots of what I can see here. He's going to be a lot less technical boxer in this fight. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I'll get right to it, honestly. Chris Garcia, I'm seeing star potential in this kid. Been boxing when he was a kid. Seems like Chancey Wilson's just fighting this fight for money, in my opinion, my honest opinion. He just fought, and I just found out that he just did fight in December, coming off a 4th round knockout in bare knuckle boxing. I don't like the turnaround. Coming off a bad knockout, you're facing a very dangerous boxer, I should say. I gotta take Chris Garcia here, high confidence. I think Chancey Wilson's gonna come around like plus 400 range. I'd be shocked if he isn't. Absolutely shocked. Seems like he's a dog inside the ring. But seems like he's a grappler, and when he fought MMA, he was mostly a grappler. 2 wins by submission. And now he's making the transition to bare knuckle, and it hasn't really manifest. 3-5. Chris Garcia's made the transition well. Give me Chris Garcia here, high confidence. Kid's got dynamite in his hands. Alright, next fight, we got Sabah Homasi, 37 years old, going to be taking on 36-year-old Leonel Carrera. Homasi going to be moving up to make his light heavyweight debut this fight. Holds a pro MMA record, 17-12, 11 wins coming by knockout, 8 losses by knockout as well. Trains out of American Top Team. Looking at Carrera, 0-1 amateur boxing record. He's a trainer out in Florida. Looking at Sabah Homasi's BKFC bio, it says Homasi is comfortable wherever the fight goes and holds a majority of his wins by TKO. A majority of his losses have came by the same method, so you should know he is going to bring a fight. Not many people are going to outwork Homasi as a very experienced fighter. His technicality and cardio are a lot for anyone to deal with. Dustin Poirier has been in the corner of Homasi in Bellator, and he's close with a lot of guys of those guys at that level because he's out of American top team. On the other hand, you got Carrera. He's a boxer born and raised in Miami who, upon making his BKFC debut, has a single bare knuckle bout under his belt. He helped and cornered Gogo Slavsky become the welterweight champion, so he's got the knowledge and technique to shake things up at 175 or 185 where he fights. Looking over here at Homasi, 6 weeks ago, so he's a pretty long training camp he's in for this fight. I think he's looking pretty sharp, honestly. I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. I'm liking the work I'm seeing from Homasi here. I like him moving up a weight class. I like that for fighters. Help your chin. Popping over to Carrera here. He's a trainer. I don't know if he's got his own gym or not. Seems like he's holding pads on a lot of fighters. Can't really find any mitt work. Can't see no training camp footage on him. I don't know if he's the type to not post that. Him being like a coach. I don't know. It's like, so, show me something, man. And I'm like what I'm seeing out of Homasi here. All I look up is this fight with Leo Carrera, which just doesn't do it justice. He fought some guy, very powerful striker. He got dropped twice. I just haven't seen nothing, and what I'm seeing out of Homasi, I like. I like Homasi here. High confidence. Could be average. But I'm going to trust in him coming up a weight class. Stronger chin, wealth of experience. Yeah, I'm taking Homasi here. High confidence. On to the next fight. Next fight, we have a rematch happening here. Jeremy Smith going to be taking on Donald Sanchez. These guys fought back in 2022. Jeremy Smith got a unanimous decision win. Couldn't stop Donald Sanchez. Makes sense because out of 50 pro MMA fights, he was only stopped twice by knockout. Holds a record of 6-3 pro boxer. 3 wins by knockout, 1 knockout loss. Looking at Jeremy Smith, he's coming into this 3-fight skid, 9-7 pro MMA fighter. He's mostly a 185er, 200-pounder. Looking at Donald Sanchez, he's a 175er, 185er. Looking at the tail of the tape, both 41 years of age. BKFC record 3-4 for Jeremy Smith. 4-2 for Donald Sanchez. 67% KO rate for Jeremy Smith. 50% for Donald. 5'10" versus 6' Donald Sanchez. But Jeremy Smith's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage in this fight. Should even it out. Looking at the bio from Jeremy Smith, BKFC.com, Smith is high volume and dangerous for anyone that doesn't have a chin. His defense is above average as well, but again, he doesn't rely on that as much as his offensive pressure. His nasty bodywork against the fight veteran would crumble a wide majority of fighters in any weight class, and he was inches away from taking the W. So they're talking about a fight where he was fighting a BKFC veteran and he was just showing how great his bodywork was, but just the veteran's durability, experience, he crept it out and he didn't go to his knees to probably avoid a knockdown 10-8 round. So Jeremy Smith he's not just a headhunter. Looking at Donald Sanchez, it says if he's fighting a rangier striker, he can get inside and clinch like we see wrestlers do often. And if he's wanting to strike with a smaller, slower puncher, he can stick and move from the outside and work his way to a decision. Says there's a high level of technicality coming from the combat sports veteran, but he has no doubt a target on his back, having a name in the MMA world. He's competed in LFA, won championship, and Bellator. Alright, so Sanchez is coming off a unanimous decision loss to Dave Mundell, who I rank really high. So I like that for Donald Sanchez here. Also, I guess he's 2 years sober about 15 weeks ago, so clear head coming into this fight. Catching Jeremy Smith here on a 3-fight losing streak. If that's your time to get your get back, that's your time when the fighter's on a 3-fight losing streak. But Jeremy Smith's mindset is obviously the opposite, where, oh, I'm on a 3-fight losing streak and I already beat this guy. Let's snap it and beat him again. Let's snap it, get an easy dub. Just Sanchez doesn't make any fight easy because no one really stops him. She's shown to have really good durability, and he's kind of a good example of what kind of build and everything you need for bare knuckle. He is ranked high in the division as well. He's been on a tear since losing to Jeremy Smith. I think people would pick Jeremy Smith looking at it. He does look like an animal, does look like he's in good shape training here. This is a hard fight to call. Looking at the rankings, it looks like Donald Sanchez is ranked pretty high. I'm going to go Donald Sanchez here. Try and get some get back. Looks like he's been a fighter doing more work recently. Here's Smith conditioning his hands. Working out here. Smith also fighting out of Florida. Sanchez fighting out of Jackson Wink Gym. I like that. I'm going to go low confidence Donald Sanchez here. Rare low confidence. I think this is my first low confidence pick I'll be giving out. Could go average. More athletic, I feel like. More durable. More technical, I'd say, on Jeremy Smith's side. But is it finally catching up to him? His fight style is walk forward straight into offensive pressure. I'm going to take Donald Sanchez here to try and get some get back. On to the next fight. Alright, next fight we have a strawweight bout. Rosalinda Rodriguez versus Shelby Cannon. Rosalinda Rodriguez coming in this 39 years of age. Shelby Cannon, 34 years. It's going to be 5 years younger. Looking at the tail of the tape, Rosalinda Rodriguez undefeated in BKFC, 3-0. Going to be taking on Shelby Cannon, 1-1. Rosalinda, 67% KO rate. Shelby Cannon's lone win by decision. 5'3" versus 5'2" Cannon. Rodriguez gonna have about a 2.5-inch reach in this fight. Rodriguez is a 14-0 pro boxer. It's listed on Tapology, but not BoxRec. I don't know. I usually only go off BoxRec, but it does look like she has some pro boxing fights and has fought at up to 130 pounds. This fight's at 115. Looking at Cannon, coming from the MMA scene, 4-5 amateur MMA record, but she does have fights outside of BKFC, holding a 3-1 bare knuckle record. But in amateur MMA, I have noticed she has fought at 105. I think there's going to be a big size advantage in this fight. Power, mass, all that. We got Rodriguez coming into this fighting at 130 before, and Cannon fighting at 105. I think Rodriguez is going to be bigger, hit harder. Looking at Rodriguez's bio on BKFC, it says, with skill and toughness, both mentally and physically, she has all of the makings to be a future contender and possible champion. Look for tight technical punches to come from the Chicago-born flyweight. She has fighting out of Florida as well. This card's in Florida, along with far above average accuracy. In her debut performance, she threw over 300 punches and landed almost 70% of them. Volume, speed, and accuracy spell out bad news for anyone standing. On Cannon's side, it says, in her wins, Cannon looks dominant, having every win by unanimous decision, as she's never been put out without the gloves. Her training has allowed her to adapt quickly to the new sport, and her fight IQ is one of her best assets. Blending different techniques based on what her opponent is lacking is something that you'll see from Cannon. Alright, I did dive into both these ladies' IGs. I can't really get into them right now through BKFC. It's not working. I could search it up, but I already did dive into their Instagram accounts. Like I said, I think Rodriguez is going to be the bigger fighter in this fight. Going to come into this with a wealth of boxing experience. I know Cannon's got a good record, 3-1. I've been bare knuckle outside the ring. But I just can't take you if you can't finish one fight and you're facing a Rodriguez who's got some power in her hands. I can tell on the tape I watched. And she looks very technical. She's got heart. Like it says here, she's future contender, possible champion. Says Cannon's never been stopped without the gloves off. Or with the gloves off. But I think it happens here, honestly. Can't bet on knockout or nothing, but this is a fight I probably would. I don't know what the lines are going to look like. I can guarantee you the Cannon's going to be an underdog, though. I'm going to take Rodriguez here. High confidence. I think it's good, really tough matchup for Cannon here. On to the next fight. Alright, I tried to stay ahead of my research, trying to get this out early, so a new fight just popped up. You have 30-year-old Bryan Duran, 7-1 in BKFC, going to be taking on 34-year-old Derek Perez, 4-4 in BKFC. Going to be a bantamweight bout. Looking at the tail of the tape off of BKFC.com. Now we're actually on BKFC.com. Like I said, this fight just came up. Trying to stay ahead, get this video out quick. And I'm just looking in this fight right here. Looks like he's already been through some wars in BKFC. And he has solid technique, hard chin. Bantamweight should be on notice for years to come. Looking at Bryan Duran. Tail of the tape. No glaring differences. Should be evenly matched height, reach. And I can't get no IG on Derek Perez. I haven't looked at a fight of his. I'm just looking in this Cuban fighter, 7-1 in bare knuckle versus 4-4. And checking out his IG. Bryan Duran does have an IG. He looks like a funny guy here. Looking at some of his IG clips is what I like to see. This guy's funny, man. And then you look at here, uppercut body. That's just nasty, man. That is disgusting. You get caught by one of these, it's landing so much damage. He looks like he's locked in 4 days ago. He's asking, should I take a tooth or a rib? I think he's going to go to the body in this fight, man. That body work just looks disgusting. This guy looks like a problem. This whole card is filled with absolute animals, man. This guy's going to be a huge favorite, but wouldn't be shocked if he wasn't. Derek Perez is going to come into this as an underdog. He's going to put on a fight, but man, this guy looks like a problem. I think he should be getting a tougher test, in my opinion. I'm going to take Bryan Duran here. See him in the hyperbolic chamber. Yep. On the next fight. Alright, going back to the old format for the last time here. Like I said, our production level has increased quite a bit. You were supposed to get this type of production this week, but just accidentally messed up and leveled up in the process. So, from here on out, it's just going to be fighter versus fighter, not multiple fighters on one card, and hopefully look a little bit cleaner. Let's get into this heavyweight battle. You got the Mike Tyson of bare knuckle, Leonardo Perdomo, #1 ranked, right behind champion Andrei Arlovsky coming into this. 34 years old. Going to be welcoming Orlando Coulter, 44-year-old, to his BKFC debut. He does hold a record of 2-1 in bare knuckle outside of BKFC in different promotions regionally. Perdomo, 10-0 in BKFC, 10 knockouts. Standing 5'11", not the biggest heavyweight, but he's got the lighter man skill and the speed and power to translate. Orlando Coulter coming into this, going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, standing 6 foot tall, so he's an inch taller. Perdomo, 1-2 amateur boxing record, but BKFC does say he has an extensive boxing experience and, I don't know, possible unlicensed bouts, I guess. Can't find anything professional on BoxRec. But says on BKFC.com, Perdomo likes to emulate Mike Tyson and has compared himself to the greatest of all time in some boxing fans' minds. But it's all about admiration and idolization. Look for this dangerous contender to reach the top 5 in the heavyweight division in the near future. So he's ranked #1. Going to be taking on Coulter, 9-5 pro MMA fighter. 8 wins by knockout, 4 knockout losses out of 5 losses. Coming from the UFC, 1-3 in the UFC, 5-6 in pro boxing. In my mind, I think this is just like a BKFC, like, yeah, let's beat a UFC guy here. I said last week Joe Lister versus Danny Wall, that Danny Wall's a dead man walking, and he got stopped in the first round. I don't even think he know what hit him. He was complaining to the ref. He got hit so bad. Broke bad. He even see the shot coming. I might just be kidding around here a little bit, but man, Danny Wall just got walked through. I don't know, like, I can't see all the shots, but man, I know Joe Lister's a problem, and I saw that coming. I told everybody to put Joe Lister in every parlay they threw out that day. I was that confident in him. And I gotta say, I'm the same in Perdomo. I don't know how you can't take Perdomo here. Welcoming a guy, bare knuckle debut. I know he's 2-1 in bare knuckle boxing, but outside of the region, outside of BKFC. But Perdomo is an absolute freak. And he's got the stardom to go with it. He's entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched anything on Coulter. I'll go back, watch some MMA fights. I don't know about the UFC ones. He's just getting starched by top level guys. 10-year age gap, 44-year-old debut, man. How many years do you have? How many wars have you been in through the gyms throughout your career? Perdomo's in his prime, and he's coming for Arlovsky. And I would take him over Arlovsky any day. These UFC people coming in, and when Perdomo fights Arlovsky, and they put money on Arlovsky and then see Perdomo, they're gonna regret that. This is gonna be my dead man walking to the card. Right when these lines come out, put Perdomo in every parlay you can. This kid's not losing in Florida, man. Perdomo was starching everybody first round, and then he finally had his first tough fight. I think it was his last fight. He went 3 rounds. Showed he can have a gas tank. And this is a tune-up fight for Arlovsky. Give me Perdomo, high confidence. Alright, before we dive into the main event, just going to talk about the Perdomo fight. ramble on for one more minute. I don't know what kind of line they're going to give Perdomo. Last week, I was really high on Joe Lister, and I thought he was going to be like a minus 1,200. And I did see him at minus 1,000 at some point on some books, but he was down to minus 750 at one point. And like I said, I told everyone just unload. He's a nice parlay anchor, nice juice reducer for parlays. I just don't see how Perdomo's not going to be around the minus 1,000 range. Also, I saw lines come out on Caesar Sportsbook. I thought it was only DraftKings that are releasing these bare knuckle lines, but I was wrong because I've been checking books, and I guess Caesars does release it, but they're not up for long, and they release them pretty late. Even though I think they did release them earlier than DraftKings. But they take them away pretty early from what I can tell. Unless it was just because of a lot of fights falling off last card. They just pulled some fights, but I found fights that they were offering on their book and DraftKings wasn't, but I was seeing fights DraftKings was offering but not on Caesars, so just shop around if you can. I did see that FanDuel is now the leading sponsor of BKFC. Just keep that in mind. I'm not seeing any lines from FanDuel. They're not giving me anything, but I think they're scared of my state. Alright, we're diving right into this main event, though. You got 25-year-old Kai Heftybag Stewart, going to be making his 5th title defense. Dude is undefeated in bare knuckle, 25 years old, 8-0, 6-0 decision record, only 25% KO rate. Going to be facing the Spaniard Nico Gaffie. 100% KO rate, is busted onto the bare knuckle scene. Pause. Pretty sure this is 135 bantamweight division. You have Kai Stewart staying at 5'6", 4-inch reach advantage in this fight compared to Nico Gaffie 5'4". Kai Stewart made the transition from pro MMA, amateur MMA to bare knuckle. Holds a 6-3 amateur MMA record and 1-0 pro MMA. While you got Gaffie, looking into its BKFC.com bio, it says he's got 48 combined kickboxing, Muay Thai, and K1 bouts before stepping into the squared circle for the first time. And that experience in striking comes with high fight IQ and BKFC. He switched his typical aggressive style to more conservative approach, noting that he wants to lean on his back foot more over his front foot like he had in other combat sports. And Kai Stewart's that type of fighter that's going to put you on your back foot. So possibly see him reducing Nicholas Gaffie's power possibly in this fight, with Gaffie coming into this 100% KO rate, displaying some lights out power. But despite fighting a bit more cautiously without gloves, Gaffie throws punches and bunches at a very fast pace. Being a shorter featherweight, okay, so this is at featherweight. That's my bad. So this is at 145. Gaffie throws punches and bunches at a very fast pace. The Spaniard knows that he has to fight all the way in or all the way out to enact his game. He does a great job staying out of the dangerous middle zone where he can get caught sometimes by the longer reach. Facing that fighter in the longer reach in Kai Stewart this fight, buddy. So Kai Stewart, wrestling has taught Stewart how to find a way to win in BKFC no matter what advantages or disadvantages on paper he may hold. So he is kind of short for featherweight, but Gaffie is too, man. Like 145, 5'4", wow. Enjoy a unique style when Kai Stewart enters the squared circle. As the first ever 145-pound champ, his name is forever in the history books. Stewart will put immense pressure on whoever toes the line against him, and his cardio is superior to most in any weight class. Despite the pressure and pushing of the pace, which tends to lead to more to a heavy decision-based style, where he's 6-0 in his decisions in BKFC. Alright, so I think I'm gonna take Kai Stewart here. I'm gonna trust him to put Nico Gaffie on his back foot, take away his power, not getting firefights, close brawling situations where Gaffie could unload his flurry of punches and get out. I think Kai Stewart's going to neutralize his game here. I think he's just going to be the smarter fighter. Better footwork, better timing, decision making. He's just gonna lack a little bit power here, but he's gonna neutralize this fight and even it out, putting Gaffie on his back foot. Looking at Kai Stewart's, just their resumes in general. Kai Stewart's been through Murderer's Row, never been dropped. I don't know if he's never been dropped, but he's been through Murderer's Row. He's fought Bryan Duran, who you're going to see earlier on the card, who I took high confidence. He's his only loss, and he looks like a problem. He also beat Jimmy Rivera, UFC vet, 7-4. I think it's going to take more than just Spaniard with some power, unless this guy comes out looking like Taporia, you know what I'm saying? I just think Kai Stewart's too smart. Could he get dropped in this fight? Hell yeah. I still think he wins it. Maybe this is a fight he gets rocked and maybe gets a little bit humbled. And you never know, man. 5th consecutive title shot. Maybe things are getting to his head. Getting a little too cocky. Not training as hard. Facing a absolute killer, though. Like, he knows what he's facing. 100% KO rate. I just don't think some of these wins really translated well for Gaffie, unfortunately. He's undersized in the weight class. So is Kai Stewart a little bit, but he's coming in here with a reach. And like it says, his wrestling's taught him to find advantages, even in the fight where he has disadvantages. So I'm going to take Kai Stewart here. Could it be high confidence? Yeah, but I'm going to go average. I'm going to respect the power on Gaffie's side. I think they're going to make Kai Stewart here maybe minus 300, minus 200 range. We'll see when the line comes out. I'm going to go Kai Stewart here, average confidence. Let's go. Let's have a good card. Put in a lot of research. Now it's time for UFC research. I plan on eventually mixing, but we're sticking bare knuckle with this channel. We're going to bring in some viewers, some subscribers. Let's sweep this card. Let's do work. Keep grinding. Thank you for everyone that watched all these breakdowns. Gonna release my quick pick segment here in a second. Alright, quick picks. A little recap of all of my predictions. Ernesto Suarez versus Victor Flor. Gonna be taking Ernesto Suarez, high confidence. Next we got Nicholas Chino Blume versus Alex Davis. Gonna be taking Chino Blume here, high confidence. Next fight we have Jancarlos Rivera versus Mike Hansen. Give me Rivera here, high confidence. Bantamweight fight, you have AJ Rodriguez taking on Roberto Armas. Give me AJ Rodriguez here, high confidence. Next up, we got Chris Garcia taking on Chancey Wilson. Give me Chris Dynamite Garcia here, high confidence. Up next, you got Sabah Homasi versus Leonel Carrera. I'm going to be taking Sabah Homasi, high confidence this fight. Could be average. Alright, this was a kind of tough one for me. You got Jeremy Smith versus Donald Sanchez. This is going to be a rematch fight. I'm going to be taking Donald Sanchez here, low confidence. I was debating between low and average. I really don't give out a lot of lows. I want to do average, but I'm going to do low confidence here. On the next, we got a nice women's fight here. Rosalinda Rodriguez versus Shelby Cannon. Give me Rosalinda Rodriguez. Stay undefeated in BKFC. Move it to 4-0. Give me your high confidence. Looking at this Bryan Duran versus Derek Perez fight. This fight just popped up for me. Didn't get no title to tape out. Nonetheless, gonna predict it. Bryan Duran, his only fight coming to Stewart, current champion. I can't circle it, but give me Bryan Duran here, high confidence. Co-main event, you got the Mike Tyson of bare knuckle, Leonardo Perdomo. Going to be welcoming Orlando Coulter to his BKFC debut. I'm going to be taking Leonardo Perdomo here, high confidence. Like I said last week, this guy's a parlay anchor, juice reducer, just like Joe Lister last week. This guy's an absolute stud. Orlando Coulter is a dead man walking. If there's any whales out there, look into Perdomo. Last but not least, title fight, main event. Stewart. Hefty Bag Stewart, looking to make his 5th title defense in a row versus Nico Gaffie. 3-0, undefeated, both undefeated in the squared circle. Someone's O's gotta go. MMA is built for athletes. Bare knuckle was built for the dogs. Give me Stewart, the hefty bag dog, to remain undefeated, bring his record to 9-0, 5th consecutive title defense. Absolutely insane. I can't wait for this card, and I wish you all good luck. Thanks for tuning in. Bro Fight MMA out.